Hey, it's Francis again, and welcome back to Dungeon Synthesis. In this episode, we're going to learn how to use modulation and effects to color our sound in one final step. Last time, we looked at envelopes and we ended up with a sound kind of like this. Notice how releasing the key press doesn't stop the sound right away, because we added that release to our amplifier envelope. So far we have an oscillator running through a filter that's being affected by an envelope, and we have our amplifier being affected by a second envelope to create this sound. Something that I like to add to my patches with modulation is vibrato. We can get vibrato by modifying the pitch of the sound using a pitch wheel, but it's a lot easier to do automatically using an LFO, or low frequency oscillator. An LFO is an oscillator that operates below the audio range, meaning that the oscillations are so infrequent that you hear them as separate clicks instead of as a combined sound. Let's hear an LFO by itself real quick to show you what that sounds like. Not very exciting or musical yet, although I could imagine using that in the background for a track to create some ambiance. If we set the waveform of the LFO to a triangle and turn it off in our mixer, we can apply modulation to the oscillator, and we'll hear it as vibrato, because the speed of the oscillations in a triangle wave shape affecting the pitch is going to cause the pitch to change in the same way that vibrato causes the pitch to change. If we apply too much, it sounds kind of ridiculous, and there isn't much use for that in Dungeon Synth. Once we have a nice patch with vibrato, the only thing missing is a little bit of delay and reverb. Let's add that in the computer. Okay, here we are back in the dungeon to add some LFOs as modulation sources. So let's start with the flute. I'm going to need to add a control for pitch, and I'm doing that with the re-pitch module. And to adjust the pitch, I'm going to shift it automatically using an LFO. So here's our LFO. It's currently a sine wave, and earlier I was using a triangle, so I'll do that. I'm going to set the baseline value to the middle and set the direction centered. Now it sounds like this. That always puts a smile on my face. I'm going to speed it up a little bit and turn the strength way down. And let's see what this ends up sounding like. Pretty close to perfect. I'm going to copy that module to my bass track now and see how it sounds on the bass track. Good enough for me. Okay, so now that our track sounds like this, the only thing missing is the filter envelope and the reverb and delay. So I'll put those finishing touches on the track in our next episode of Dungeon Synthesis. I'll see you then.